Hello everyone, welcome to the round 5 season 4 Silverstone Grand Prix. We have got a wildcard this race, and that wildcard is going to be Formula 2 cars. Some people are not happy with this wildcard, but there's not much we can do about it. It is what has been given. Currently we have got the two Trident cars on track. One on soft compound tyres and the other on wets. Going to go for that Inter's pole. Here we have Gaming Bulls just coming out the pits as well. Also on wet compound tyres. Everyone possibly staying in the pits waiting for their tyres or the track to get warmer. Marcy is going to be the first person to start a lap. Big slip there as they get onto the straight. Good through turn 1 and 2. Keeping the throttle planted to the floor. Heavy braking into turn 3. Getting close to the sausage curb but not wanting to hit it. Then swinging it to the left. Big slide. And now Lucas Racing 2004 is starting to catch because they are on the soft compound. Purple sector 1 briefly by Marcy, but the teammate of Lucas does retake it. Marcy was very verbal in the chat, saying that they do not find the car very comfortable or the setup comfortable, so we will probably be seeing them struggling throughout the race. But now we definitely have got Lucas catching up, going to be hit by the dirty air of the car ahead. But it's going to definitely get slipstream down this straight, which is going to help their lap time. Marcy lifts off, letting them pass, knowing that they're going to be faster and not wanting to ruin their lap. But even though they abandoned the lap, knowing that they could find more time. And now we have Lucas crossing the line with a 138.376 decent lap, but that is only going to put him on temporary pole position. Will anyone be able to beat it? Marcy goes P2 with a 150.3, but it's not going to be a fast lap as they did make mistakes and had to abandon. A lot better through turn 1 and 2 as we have got a yellow flag. I believe that is because Hayden the G has spun it coming out of the final turn, but luckily manages to keep their front wing clean. Gaming Bulls, I believe, is going to be the next person to set a fast lap. Going through cops, decent turn into Maggots, swinging into Beckett's, and getting early on that throttle. 117.476. So far this lap, ending the second sector, swinging it to the right at the end of the hanger straight, taking all the inside curb. Could this be a decent lap for the Inter's pole? Small corrections going through there. Straightens the wheel. Sets a lap a 1:46.8. They do go temporary, Inter's pole. Lightcast also competing for that lap, but we have got Marcy who's going to finish this lap. Big slip on the penultimate corner, going through the final one, all the outside curb, and goes in front of Gaming Bulls with a 1:45.4, 1.4 seconds faster than him. Lightcast also finishing their lap on the wet compound tyre, going to come across the line with a 1:43.4, and definitely takes Inter's pole position with that lap. Marcy, I believe, did have a spin coming out of that turn, of turn 3, I believe. Here we have got Hayden the G going slowly. Could this maybe impede Daisy? As Daisy now crosses the line, does not beat Lightcast's lap, but goes behind Marcy with a 1:45.699. Raven West coming out the pits now on wet compound tyres is definitely going to be trying to beat Lightcast for that for the temporary pole position of wet tyres. Lucas Racing, who's now on wet tyres, is currently not on pole for wet compound tyres because they did set their first lap on wet. Hayden the G starting to set decent lap times, as the Lightcast was causing a few yellows by cops, but Marcy makes it by just fine. And as we cut over to Daisy, we see them having a spin, locking all the four wheels, trying to keep it out the barrier. Tyres are definitely going to be starting to get hot. I cannot speak today. As Marcy's now entering the pit lane, as Lightcast is also facing the wrong direction, as they have a massive slip out of the hanger straight. Definitely could be a bit distracting for Hayden the G, as they're going to start to come through the final corner now. Where will they find themselves? Slipping throughout, and they go P3 just behind their teammate by 1.5 seconds. Lucas Racing, who's also still on their outlap, is getting ready for a full push on these wet tyres. There was Raven West letting them go ahead. And what lap time will they set? Good turn 1, going to swing it to the left of turn 2, getting all the grip that he can get out of those tyres. Heavy braking into turn 3, looking to front a little bit, but he's getting good curbs, good exits. Getting the power down, no slipping in the rear wheels, but he was in a bit of a high gear. Could that maybe afford him some time? Going to finish the first sector with a 1:32.728, 2 full seconds down on his fastest lap, which was on soft compound tyres. Raven West is also setting a fast lap on wet compound tyres. Gaming Bulls is now coming out on soft tyres, as we could Raven West having a bit of a slip, but that could have just been lag. Lucas is on his outlap and has invalidated it, maybe pushing the track limits, trying to find the limit of the car on this outlap to get ready to push. Lucas Racing finishing the second sector with 4.8 seconds down. This will find him just ahead of Lightcast, but how much time will he lose in this last sector because of his tyres? Swinging it to the right. All the inside and outside curb that is to offer. It's going to go heavy braking into the left-right chicane, kissing those sausage curbs, taking all the outside curb and the inside and outside again, and he does a 144.995, which is P3 in the wet tyres. 3 milliseconds down on Hayden the G. But are they still pushing? I believe they are. Raven West having a lot of slipping. They were setting a lap time, but I think they might have invalidated because it definitely did not count. Lucas ZGZ is now starting their lap, going to be pushing throughout turn 1 and 2, hopefully going flat. And that's very wide, as there is a yellow flag, and that is because not Daisy but the other Prima of Raven West finds himself facing the wrong way once again, as this race setup is just not working for them. Lucas Races is actually weaving, which is going to increase his tyre temperatures. Very odd, but they are definitely pushing to try and get the wet tyre pole. As they actually pit instead, maybe having a large mistake and costing them time. Next person to cross is Daisy. I think they are on a lap. Swinging it to the left, getting very close to those sausage curbs, which are deadly in this game. But they have a massive slip on exit. They catch it. They have a minor one, but they catch that again, and that will leave them where they are with a 145.699. Raven West, who also had massive slipping, is going to cross the line, and no lap time will be set again. Lucas crosses the line and goes P5 with the 145.449. The only person who's not set a lap time is Raven West, who does seem to be really struggling on with these wet tyres, as we're now crossing to 16 minutes left in the session. So currently Lightcast, also known as Marcy, no, not Marcy, very sorry, but Lightcast is currently on wet tyre pole with Marcy in P2, Lucas in P3, Hayden P4, Lucas P5, Daisy P6, Gimbals P7 and Raven P8. As we get to Raven, there was another yellow flag put out, but I think that is because they have ran out of fuel. Is Daisy possibly going to push for another lap, or are they going to pit? As Lucas is just taking the grass, cutting across. As Daisy now pits, and so does Raven. I believe that will be the end of the wet compound runners. And now we will switch to dries and see everyone's true pace. But Lightcast wins, as it stands, wins a wet tyre pole. as Lucas is now coming out. The man who started on soft tyres comes out. And they are on fresh, wet compound tyres. They're going to be trying to push once again to get pole position on the wet tyres, which is worth an extra point. Everyone now starting to switch to their softs, going to get ready to push as much as they can to try and get pole position in this F2 race. Whoa. Here we are with Lucas Racing 2004, who started on the soft compound tyres and is only starting to get wet tyre laps in. But getting that first lap in on those softs will definitely be making his delta look a lot worse, making him panic and push a bit more, making more mistakes. As they go through turn 1 and 2, bit wide, but they still keep it on the track, in the track limits. Through the right, through the left, someone behind them. That's going to be Raven West, who's also gone back onto the wet compound tyres. Minor mistakes for Lucas, but he still pushes. As they run wide, lucky to not invalidate, but they do have to lift, and it costs them too much time, and they back out of the lap. Lightcast still shown to have the wet tyres added onto their car. Could that mean that they're going to go for another push lap on the wet compound tyres, or are they going to save them in case there's rain in the race? Raven West does need a good exit here, but they don't get it to start off their lap. Every millisecond counts in F2, as everyone cannot use battery as it doesn't exist. Good through turn 1 and 2. Heavy braking into turn 3. Big slide into turn 4. They keep it under control, hit the apex, and get decent power on the exit. Lucas is shown to have another set of fresh wet tyres. Is he going to be trying again and again to be getting this wet time pole? Or will he finally give in and put on new soft? Actually no, they only have one soft in Formula 2, so could that be the end of his qualifying right here, right now? Ravens West pushing through the end of the hanger straight onto the mini straight before this heavy braking into the left turn. Correction to avoid the inside curb. No massive slips on the exit, no minor slips either, and they're going to go P3. Raven West finally being able to deliver with a time and starting to finally push, get into the pits, put on their soft tyres and get ready for their final lap of qualifying. And Raven West having a big slip, catching it, but then loses it again. Raven West definitely going to want to pit now, put on soft tyres and definitely get ready to push. I'm inviting Honey Badger now as he's finally gotten back. There we are, Hayden, Lucas and Daisy currently out on their outlaps to get ready to push on their soft compound tyres for the first time. They're going to feel amazing, guaranteed, as here comes someone else. I believe that is going to be... don't know. I don't actually know the livery on the F2 cars, I won't lie. I don't race them often or see them often, as Daisy's going to be the first person, or the second person, sorry, to make a lap on soft compound tyres. Daisy into Maggots and Beckett's left, right, left again, and back to the right. Fourth gear through there, might shift it down to 3 on the exit. I just get the extra horsepower. 5.5 seconds up on their personal best, which was on wet compounds. At the end of Hang Street, wanking it to the right. All the outside curve there is off, and make sure you don't invalidate, which is really easy to do. Heavy braking into the left-hander, attacking those curves as much as they could. And they're going to finish the lap off and go on pole position. They are temporary pole with a 138.1. There's now a yellow flag, and that is because Marcy is letting people past. Completely missed it, but Hayden goes even faster with an entire 10th. Hayden the G on temporary pole position. Next person to set a lap time is going to be, I believe it's going to be Raven West, who was really struggling on those wet tyres, but looks like they are very confident on these dries. Big slide there by Raven West as they lock the rear axle, and the even bigger slide of today, it takes too much inside curb. They're going to finish the lap and go to even faster, another half a tenth between P1 and P2. Can anyone beat Raven West as Daisy retires from qualifying, believing that they cannot go faster, they cannot get out on another lap? As Lucas is also on a lap, Marcy starting a lap as well, as Hayden the G goes even faster. 137.5, setting the new fastest lap to beat. Lightcast finishing their out lap is starting to push and hopefully get pole position, as they got pole position for wet quali. Yellow flag, as I believe Hayden the G has ran out of fuel, so that will be the end of qualifying for him. Another yellow flag for Lucas, who is struggling to put a lap together, and I think is also about to run out of fuel. Raven West goes even faster than Hayden with a 1:37.204, just finding more and more time when it's needed. Raven West on temporary pole position, but will anyone beat his lap? Lightcast retires from the session, possibly making a costly mistake, knowing that that's it for him. Marcy goes P3. Lucas Racing also on a lap. Lucas finishing their lap, doesn't improve. Gaming Bulls also on a lap. As there's Hayden now pitting, and Hayden retires from the session, accepting P2 so far. Here's Raven West, the person who's on temporary pole position. The next person to cross the line will be Gaming Bulls, as the only people that can find time now is Gaming Bulls and Lucas Racing. Gaming Bulls is going to go to the left, go to the right, big snap, and they cross the line and go P6. Lucas racing, going through the right-hander, heavy braking into the left. Bit wide, completely runs off the track, and that's the end of qualifying for him. Normally we do have a 5-minute break in between for Formula 1, but in Formula 2 there's no point really waiting, as you do most waiting in the pits and most drivers are bored. Hayden finds himself in the lower order in the formation lap. Maybe he had an earlier mistake, but let's look at everyone's tyres. Looks like everyone has opted for the soft compound except from Hayden the G, who decides to start on the hards. Raven West actually messing up the start and getting pushed back a little bit further down, as now we're going to get ready for the race start. And now we're going to go 5 red lights. Lights out and away we go. A decently long hold. Raven West with a decent start. Hayden the G getting a bad start because of his hard compound tyres. 3 wide, getting squeezed. Someone almost goes round, and that's Daisy almost going round. Everyone's hitting rear ends, hitting wheels, almost spinning. Grass on tyres, struggling to stop the car. Absolutely incredible race start, as there is so much drama going on in the back. 4 wide briefly. Briefly 3 wide, but now 2 wide, fighting for P7, but gets pushed onto the gravel and has to concede position as Hayden the G falls even further behind. Contact going into cops. Someone's going to have to back out, and it's going to have to be Hayden, but they run wide due to the hard compound tyres and the dirty air. Raven West starting to break away from Marcy as there's contact between Gaming Balls and Daisy, as they both end up going around, and one of them in the gravel while the other in the grass. Raven West really pushing to try and get out of DRS range to Marcy. That would allow him to have a nice easy breeze of a race, but he has a bad chicane. Completely forgot the word. Sets fastest lap, but that is to be expected as he is in the lead. As Lightcast runs wide, that will most probably be a warning for track limits, but gets into the DRS range of Lucas Racing. Lucas and I believe that is Honey Badger, who joined late in the session, go wheel to wheel, but Lucas not taking it lightly, looking to go maybe round the outside, out of track limits briefly, but doesn't get the position. As Honey Badger, I believe, I don't know who it is, but I think it's Honey Badger because they have not got a name, does run wide. Contact, and that is Marcy who goes round, who just drove into the back of Raven West, the race leader, spinning around, facing the wrong way, got grass on the tyres for the switchback on Hayden the G though. On board, just to see that. Incredible timing. Could that, will Marcy possibly report Raven West for brake checking, or did they just carry too much speed? But that has given Raven West the break he needed, the gap he needed. 1.8 seconds. Lightcast 2/10 away from to P2. He's going to go round the outside, and Lucas backs out, bouncing over the curbs. Hayden the G getting overtaken by Honey Badger. I really think that is Honey Badger. Is there a way to maybe check? No, that is not. Lucas all over the back of Hayden the G, not giving him a break. Maybe he has a good run out of Beckett's. He opens the rear wing. Does he have low enough wings to go for a move? He's in the slipstream. He's going to move to the right. Could we maybe see a dive bomb on the person who started P2? No, we can't, as he backs out of it. Or does he, as he is now seen alongside, but the door does briefly stay open but closes as Hayden runs wide, briefly off track limits. He's going to get the switchback. Lucas gets the switchback on Hayden. The man who once started in P2 finds himself in P7. Big slip on the exit though. Lightcast slowly reeling in the race leader Raven, which was 6/10 bigger than the lap previous. Could this mean that maybe Ravens made a mistake, or they just haven't got race pace? Speaking of race pace, we have Lucas behind Honey Badger. I really think that's Honey Badger. Trying to go around the outside, doesn't do it. Maybe goes for the switchback. He's going to go for the double into the right hander. He's going to try, but the door gets shut and he has to back out. Lightcast runs wide. Definitely, there's definitely going to be a warning there. And that's a penalty for Lucas for track limits, but doesn't matter. He is going to go for this move. He's going to go up the inside. He's going to move back onto the racing line, braking, and gets the move done. Lightcast pushing everything he can out of those tyres and that engine to try and crawl back into the DRS. He's only gained half a tenth on that lap there, but it is starting to get very cloudy. Could we maybe see some rain being forecast? Raven running wide, gets Lightcast gets into that 1 second gap. Can he remain it? Can he keep that gap and maybe go for an overtake? But here we have Honey Badger still not letting go, still fighting for position as he is right behind Lucas. Lightcast did not get the DRS that lap, but will he be able to reel him back in and maybe get it in the first sector? But here is DRS, and that's Hayden the G, who I think still very far behind. P7 on those hard compound tyres, just not working well for him. But could we maybe see a move here for Hayden, as Honey Badger is slow? He's going to look up the inside, going to force Hayden wide, and he does go briefly off track, but it was, other than that, quite clean, as he's still very, very close racing. He's going to go up the inside into turn 1, and Honey Badger backs out of it. And now we have Lightcast in the DRS of Raven, going to be trying to close in more and more to get the overtake. As Gaming Balls overtakes Daisy, the people that had contact on the first or second lap, I believe it was the first, in Beckett. Oh no, Maggot, sorry, not Beckett. Lightcast pushing all over these curbs to try and gain on Raven. Now the rear wing is going to be open. This is going to gain so much time on the car ahead. He is gaining 6 tenths into 4 tenths, maybe even 3. There is 2 tenths between them now. But Lightcast not ready for the dirty air, runs a bit deep. Daisy runs very wide and gets a 3-second penalty and pits, as I believe they are retiring, as they've had enough of the race. Yep, there they are. They have retired from the session and have had enough. Lightcast really pushing these tyres to try and overtake. P1 and 2 do have a entire 5 seconds gap between P2 and 3, which is going to make them even more eager, even more dangerous of a fight, as they know that they have the gap behind. As Lightcast gets a 3-second time penalty, cutting over the corner on the inside. Currently Lightcast, who is now P2, started P7, is now 5 positions up. That is very good from Lightcast. They do have a 3-second penalty, but they are on very good pace to maybe go for the win this race. You could just see how much dirty air is affecting these cars, as you can see how smooth Raven is versus how choppy and horrible it is for Lightcast, which is going to deeply affect his tyres. 6 tenths on this straight, now goes to 5, possibly to 4 tenths. No, it stays to 5. But you can see the difference in racing line. One goes for aggressive, one goes for conservative. As like Gaming Balls now with a 3-second penalty, as I'm guessing they've just ran wide or in a bit too aggressive. Lightcast a lot closer than he was the lap before, but is definitely trying to avoid any more penalties that could maybe hurt his chance of winning. He's going to open the rear wing, as no one has gotten a 3-second time penalty. I mean, sorry, that is someone, that is going to be Honey Badger with a 3-second. as Raven runs very wide. Going to have to lift off of the throttle to avoid any warnings. 2 tenths between them. Big slip for Raven. Could we maybe see a difference in the lead? Can we maybe see an overtake by Lightcast, who's been more and more eager for this position? This is the closest they have ever been so far on any part of this track. But Lightcast having to slow down for... I'm really sorry, my TV has just gone, so I do not have any footage of myself of the race right now. There we go, my TV finally comes back as I come back to Lightcast still in P2, making a big mistake, finding themselves another 6 tenths down, just like they were on the previous lap. As we have the first person to pit, as Honey Badger is now on fresh, hard compound tyres. Lightcast 2 tenths between them. But the dirty air is definitely going to affect each other's time. Lightcast's times. But Lightcast is definitely starting to get a bit more impatient. He takes a different line through turn 1 and 2, which definitely works for him, going to keep the 2 tenths gap between them. Could we maybe see a move on the next straight? You can see he's going to prioritise the exit. Raven with a bit of a wiggle, 4 tenths, 3 tenths, 2 tenths between them. He is definitely going to try around the outside here. No, he switches to the inside at the last moment. Raven West loses the position. That is going to completely alter his chances for a grand slam, but Lightcast is going to have to come out as he gets a massive wash of air and loses the rear, but has to concede the position, but briefly held the race lead. Seven tenths between the leader and P2 now, as some confidence was definitely destroyed via the move. Hayden the G with a 3-second time penalty, which will affect the end of his race. So far, the 3 people without a penalty is Raven West, Lucas Racing and Marcy. Three tenths between them now. He's going to be in the slipstream with the DRS open, but I don't think he's going to be trying a move here. But Lightcast and Raven West once again back at the battling, trying to overtake each other, trying to change the race leader. Now, in my opinion, I do find F2 races and cars a bit boring, as F1 do carry more speed here, which does encourage a bit more racing. But the wildcard is the wildcard. This is what we're going to have to deal with, and this is what I'm going to be finding Cal on Thursday. another 6 tenths between these two, who have just been constantly fighting, constantly pushing each other to the limits, but who will give up first? Lucas and Marcy have swapped positions, as I think these two are constantly battling. Raven West with a bit of a mistake, going to force himself wide. Raven West now in the pit lane, making sure he doesn't speed. I think he's going to put on new hard tyres and go to the end on that compound. Yellow flag as Honey Badger has spun around, going to dampen their confidence and dampen their tyres. Lucas also in the pit now. We are definitely going to start seeing everyone pit who's on the soft tyres, but except from Hayden, who started on the hard tyres, who's going to move to the softs on around lap 16 or 17. Lightcast is still out on those old softs. Could we maybe see him pit sometime soon? Lightcast probably going to pit this lap. 14 laps on soft, 15 laps on hards. Honey Badger now in the pits, probably going to go to soft compound tyres. Yes, there they are, waiting for him. And changes the front wing as well. Could that mean that there's possibly contact between the two drivers, or he hit a wall? As the Lightcast still not pitting and still going. as Marcy now pits onto the hard compound. The gap between him and Raven West might determine where Raven might come out, but Raven just constantly having slips, constantly struggling to find any grip whatsoever. Lightcast still staying out. Lap 16 we're going to. What is their strategy? 3-second time penalty for Honey Badger, which now brings it up to 6 seconds. As Gaming Balls also gets a 3-second, I believe that is his second one. Yes, it is. Now bringing it up to 6 seconds. Marcy finding themselves behind Lucas, but sending it up the inside. There's contact made, but they give them back the position. Gaming Balls and Lightcast are the last two people that have to pit. My guess is Lightcast will pit now, as he is going to hug the inside. Will he move to the right? Yes, he will. He is going in the pit lane. This is going to determine whoever's in the lead of the race in stint 2. Lightcast limited to a certain speed comes into the pit box. 3 seconds for Lucas. And tyres are on. Wheel guns are up and they are out. As Raven West goes round the final turn now, starting then a new lap. As Lightcast starts to get up to pace, and I believe they are going to be first. Yes, they are. They can see each other very close by these two. Raven West will be on warm tyres while Lightcast is on cold. Gaming Balls also in the pit. Everyone has now done at least one stop, apart from Honey Badger, who has done 2. 3 tenths between them, but it's going to constantly close and close. It goes down to 2 tenths. Could we maybe see a dive bomb here? He's definitely going to look at it, but the door gets closed. And currently they remain in the same position. Raven West and Lightcast still battling. Big wobble by Raven West, but he's going to have the DRS, he's going to have the slipstream. He's going to wiggle left, wiggle right, following the slipstream. The contact between him and Lightcast. Raven West still round the outside, but he's left room. Will Raven send it down the inside? He is going to put his nose there. There's yellow flags as Honey Badger does retire from the race in the pit lane. But Raven West was not able to make the move, but that was definitely a bit of a weird movement by Lightcast. Hayden the G sets the fastest lap of a 1:39.777. Hayden the G going to be a lot faster than anyone around him due to his new soft tyres. Raven West has lost a lot of time to Lightcast. Could this maybe be the tyre deficit that was worked so hard for by Lightcast? Hayden the G 2 tenths behind Lucas Racing. These two Tridents are going to work everything they can to try and keep him behind. More than 2 tenths between them now. But the thing is, he will not be able to really use the DRS to his advantage because Lucas will have DRS via his teammate Marcy just ahead of him. But Lucas goes deep. That is going to give an opportunity for Hayden to maybe get a switchback. But he doesn't initiate the switchback, but he definitely gets a better exit. He's going to look around the outside. He's going to open the DRS, use that extra momentum to get ahead. Lucas drops the position. Hayden is now ahead. Can he keep the position? He is currently ahead, still ahead, but he gets blocked in by the two Tridents, but manages to avoid contact. Raven West now getting a 3-second time penalty, now making this race anything going. Hayden the G, I believe, is going to try and go for a move on Marcy on this straight. Not able to finish the move, but 1 tenth between them. Incredible fighting. As we're now on lap 20 out of 29, we did do a 100% race for F2, but otherwise it would only be 15 laps. I wouldn't really introduce much racing or pit stops. Hayden the G finally getting ahead of Marcy. So far, the only two drivers left without a penalty is the two Trident cars running P4 and P5. Raven West now in the DRS, finally. Hayden almost breaking DRS, and he has broken DRS. As Marcy runs wide, he's going to have a weird line through turn 4, and his teammate's going to have a run on him. With the DRS open, they're going to move to the left, going to have the inside line move to the right just so they can get a bit of slipstream, and is going for the move as the other Trident backs out. As Raven West once again finds himself outside of DRS range. Hayden the G with another 3-second penalty. As Lucas also gets another 3-second penalty. Lightcast now 1.5 seconds ahead of Raven West. The people that were once going side by side, constantly scrapping, now find themselves with a very large gap. As currently the closest people having a fight is the 2 Trident teammates. Apart from maybe Gaming Bulls. Oh no, sorry, I did not see it. I thought that was 25 and 23. Not that large. But yeah, these 2 Trident drivers have been going at it all race. Have not been stopping. Constantly swapping positions, trying to catch up to the leaders, but not managing to. Four laps difference between Raven West's tyres and Lightcast's tyres, which could definitely give the rest of the race. I don't know how, but Lightcast just managed to gain an entire second. As Hayden the G goes with the fastest lap with a 1:39.535. But finds another 3-second penalty, bringing it to 9. Lightcast and Raven West. Hold on, I think Lightcast had a mistake and he spun. I think that's why I didn't realise. I thought Raven West was P2. No, I was wrong. Raven West is P1, Lightcast is P2. I think Lightcast might have had a spin on the second final corner. I'm so stupid for not realising. I thought something was off and I just can't figure. 4/10 now between these two. That spin might have just inherited Raven West to win, but unless he can defend the position. Currently, as it stands, Raven West will win, Lightcast will get P2, Lucas will get P3, and Marcy will get P4, Hayden will get P5, Lucas will get P6, and Gaming Balls will stay P7. Two tenths between the leaders. Lucas with another 3-second time penalty. And Lightcast with another 3-second time penalty. That could have possibly just ruined his race chances, as now he's going for a massive dive bomb. Big slide, contact, more contact. I think Lightcaster might have just slightly lost his head there after gaining that 3 seconds, and he's going for another dive bomb. Personally, if I was Lightcaster, I would not have gone for the dive bomb. I would have stayed behind and gotten the better exit to get them on this straight using DRS. As contact being made by Lightcast, turning into Raven West. Lightcast staying in the DRS, staying in the slipstream, getting ready to go for a move, but doesn't pull it off. Lightcast going on the inside, contact being made. Bit of a stupid move by Lightcast, but maybe Raven turned in, maybe he won't give him room. But from my point of view there, Lightcast, I don't think that move was ever on. Lucas and Marcy going wheel to wheel. Lucas gets a penalty. After a very, very long scrap and a very long race, Marcy is now the only one left without a penalty. Lightcast will definitely be trying to go for another move on Raven West here, but 4/10 they will definitely be making an overtake here. Up the inside goes Lightcast, getting it stopped. Raven West P2, bit of contact, but friendly racing. Raven West still on the inside, it's going to have to be given room. Still on the outside. Gets given room by Lightcast, and that is the move done. front right lockup by Raven West will definitely make him lose some time. And a big slide. But you have to remember, Lightcast does have a 6-second penalty, while Raven West is only on a 3. Through Maggers and Beckett's goes Raven West, pushing these tyres to the end. But he definitely does not want to get another 3-second penalty. Because right now he has gotten the race lead. He is winning as it speaks. Even though he may be P2, the penalty will boost him to P1. Eight and a half tenths between P1 and 2 now. This is going to be the tyre offset that's going to be helping him gain this massive gap. Marcy and Lucas do need to stop fighting, because this is creating a gap between Hayden and Marcy, inheriting Hayden P3 on a podium position. Raven West going to look around the outside into Cops. He's going to back out of that move, and he's run into the back of Lightcast. And Marcy now has a 3-second penalty. Everyone this race has a penalty. Reminds me of Tier 2 all over again. As now we are on the final lap. Lightcast leads. Oh, sorry. Well, Lightcast does lead, but Raven West is up for the win because of his penalties. Hayden is P3, Marcy P4, Lucas P5, other Lucas P6, and Gaming Balls P7. Raven West in the slipstream, in the DRS, tries to go for a move. Lightcast does move. Could that possibly be moving under braking? I don't think it will be, but that was definitely a bit of a dodgy move and might get reported at the end of the race. Speaking of reporting at the end of the race, remember, if you do have any incidents that you want to report, then please bit wide for Raven West, but he almost gets a 3-second penalty. As now we are going to round up to the final corners. Almost thought Raven West was going to go into the back of a Lightcast, but Raven West is going to push Lightcast to the end. Lightcast finishes the race in P1 but falls to P2, leaving Raven West to win the Grand Prix in Formula 2. Hayden crossing the line, finishing P3. Lucas overtakes Marcy, both of them off the track. Identical lap time. Oh, sorry. It just updates. Marcy gets P4, Lucas gets P5. Lucas ZGZ9 crosses the line with the fastest lap in hand, and gaming balls, just chilling, weaving across the track, having fun, ending the hanger straight for the final time. Going to the left, going to the right, for the final time, goes through the final turn, and finishes P7. Race winner goes to Raven West, the Prema Racing driver. Lucas ZGZ9 gets the fastest lap, which was on the final lap. And Lightcast wins driver of the day, and the most overtakes goes to Hayden the G, and there is no cleanest driver. Raven West gets the extra 2 points in qualifying and gets the feature race win. Thank you for watching Season 4 Race 5 Great Britain Tier 1 race with a wildcard. We will see you next time on Thursday. Goodbye.